Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Feel free to give us a call either today, next week, whenever is convenient, 612-504-8400. Visit us online at havenfinancialgroup.com. Love to see you at any of our educational events. All of them are on the website. Talking about Haven today, the start of it, why, what we do. And, this segment is pretty near and dear because we really see situations that could have been avoided with surviving spouses. And I think this segment is just critical that we talk about these certain things and what people should, how they should prepare for the inevitable. Okay? Just the inevitable.
Yeah. One of the things that I think I had not really thought about, Larry, until you and I have spent so much time together, is the fact that you develop these unbelievable relationships with so many couples. And you see them from maybe the time they're in their mid-50s right on through till they're 85 years old or whatever it might be. And unfortunately, a lot of times you see one lose the other.
Yep.
And you, I think, work really hard, and I know that from you talking about it, to make sure, because you now you have an emotional connection to these individuals, and you want to make sure that both of them are taken care of should one not be there. And that can sometimes be sort of a hard plan to put together if you try to do it on your own.
Yeah, this segment can go a couple different directions. A do-it-yourselfer. I think a good place to start is if you're a married couple or partner, not everybody likes to have these discussions. Okay, not everybody likes to talk about investments or money. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. So oftentimes one spouse will do all of it and the other one's just along for the ride. Just this week I had a couple, at least it was supposed to be a couple, and I said, "Where's your spouse?" "Well, they just let me handle it. They don't want to talk about it. That can be very dangerous. Now, you don't have to be the expert, but I got so many stories in this area of all the years that I've done this, of please make sure you have a backup plan for that spouse. Say if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you manage your own investments, that's okay. But what happens when you're not here? Okay, have a backup plan. I think of Len and Diane several years ago. Several years ago, they came out to a class. They came in and visited. They were getting closer to retirement. They actually were just retiring. So they had a lot of questions. And so we took them through our same process. And they wanted help on Social Security. When should they take it? Len was a do-it-yourselfer on investments and really good at it. So they saved for retirement very, very well. Diane wasn't really involved. And I remember sitting in my office and having a discussion, and Len is really getting into the investment side. I stopped and I said, "Len, how can we help you? Because it sounds like you really enjoy managing your own investments." And he goes, "Larry, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor." And he goes, "I have it again. I don't know if he goes, it's in remission, but I need to make sure Diane is well taken care of." So that was the process of developing the relationship. Yeah. You know what? A couple of years later, after that, I got the call. It was Len. He goes, "Larry, I have cancer again, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to kick it this time. We need to begin the process." Now, since he was a fighter, since we've lost Len, but I remember my last meeting with him and Diane, very emotional one. In fact, even the kids were there. He's like, "You know what? We've developed this relationship. I'm probably not going to make it this time. And I need to know, and I feel very good that you're going to take very good care of her after I'm gone." It's been several years now. She comes to our events, wonderful family. That's just one of so many stories. I think of LaDonna. Mid last year, she came to a class. She was overwhelmed. She goes, "I lost my spouse about 6-7 months ago. He handled everything. I know nothing." And she goes, she met with Lance on taxes. She met with Glenn on Medicare. I'm the third person she sits down with. She comes in and she's emotional as well. She goes, "Lance helped me with taxes. Glenn helped me with Medicare. I didn't know anything. I don't know anything about investments. Larry, would you please help me?" She goes, "I've spent the last 7 months trying to pick up the pieces because I knew nothing." This isn't meant for the listeners to be fearful. It's just being prepared, making sure the spouse has a good backup plan. You can still do your own investments or whatever it is that you're doing. Not against that. You're doing your own taxes. Great. But again, what's the backup plan for when inevitably, this is no joke, it's Sunday, the mortality rate in the United States is 100%.
Hmm.
I heard there's a couple that's an exception, but that's a talk for later in the day. Okay, so the reality is, have a backup plan,
Mhm.
please,
Absolutely.
for you or your spouse and your family.
Right. And Rachelle, I know that you can speak to this because you speak to all of the clients who come in. The time to begin to build a relationship is not when you're in crisis.
No, I just think of the love of a couple that have been married forever to have the thought ahead of time, like if something happens to me, I want to make sure my spouse is taken care of. I mean, that's
Right.
like the ultimate love gift. I mean,
Mhm.
really, same with estate plan. Nobody wants to plan for their death, but think and to care for the loved ones, to have just that incredible love to go, hey, I want to make sure they're taken care of. So Len and Diane, they were interviewing us, and he wanted to make sure that we were trustworthy and the right people that deserve to take care of his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's sexy.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. That's
I don't,
exactly right.
there's no handbag, there's no gift, there's no outfit that would outdo that kind of love.
Yeah.
And what I do appreciate about Larry is the fact that the do-it-yourselfers, maybe they do taxes here or Medicare, but they love to do it. A
Mhm.
lot of financial companies are like, hey, if you don't want to do all your business here, forget about it. You're out. I love the fact that he's like, hey, we love to help you in all the areas. And one day when it's time and you want to pass the baton or you don't feel confident, we're here for you. No
Yeah.
pressure, no strings attached. I really appreciate that as somebody that loves customer service and the real guy behind the mission. That speaks a lot to who the company is.
Sure. And Larry, I'm sure you have a number of couples who come in and they just are. I loved what Rochelle just said. He was interviewing you. They're just having to feel this out. They're looking for a trust factor. They've got to be comfortable.
Yeah, because we meet with those that are not comfortable. They've been in bad situations.
Sure.
I just had a couple in not long ago, and I could just tell there was just something that was a little off. They were timid, and finally, because I am very direct in a good way, is I said, "Have you had a bad experience in this industry?" And they go, "Larry, actually, we have. Remember the name so and so?" And I said, "I do." And that person's exactly where they deserve. And it was, they took a couple $100,000 of our retirement. Bad experience, terrible experience. And there's a shade of gray in every industry. I get it. But the reality is, people have had bad experiences. A couple that came in and they had no experience. I said, have you met with anybody ever? And he worked for the electric company, has worked for 30 some years, built up a big 401k. He's on the cusp of retirement. He goes, no, but he goes, I talked to folks, and he goes, close to retirement, it's proven that you should really be working with somebody. And he goes, but I have to admit, we're kind of nervous. We had a great 2-hour conversation. And I said, if you're not comfortable here, you're not going to hurt our feelings. So he goes, no, we feel really, really comfortable. It was 2 hours of them. We're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing us.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Because if we're not perfect for everybody, and again, it can work both directions. What I do know is we're going to listen. We want to be relatable. We don't have any minimums. We have those that have very little, and we have those that have a lot. I visited with folks not long ago that go, yeah, we sat down with so and so, and they didn't even want to talk to us because we didn't have enough. Well, guess what? You might be having an inheritance. You might know people. I just find that it's a stigma in the industry that we want no part of. We don't want any part of it, whether they're clients or not. We want to treat everybody exactly with the same amount of respect. And unfortunately, in the industry, I don't hear that all the time.
Yeah, I'm afraid that may be true. 612-504-8400 is how you reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. Larry, if people call, Mary, maybe Rochelle, you want to answer this. If people call, they hear the number, because we give the number out all the time.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what they're going to get on the other end of the phone, what's going to happen.
Well, I get two things. Now I'm getting a lot of just submitting forms online, and I will get a ton of those, and I respond even on the weekends. Phone calls, what we'll get is connecting with the person, figuring out what their goals are, what are their top priorities, and then kind of steering them in that first appointment. It's a discovery appointment. It's you discovering us and us discovering you, who you are, what's important to you. Is there any area that we can help? And you don't have to bring the whole kitchen sink and show us all your stuff.
Right.
It could just be a conversation. And what we say too on the phone, bring whatever you want to your comfort. There's not rules. You don't have to bring all the financial stuff, and you're just connecting with us. If you kind of are looking for Social Security timing, figuring that out, maybe you have that figured out, but really want to discuss Medicare. Medicare or insurances, long-term care is a big one. I keep hearing a lot. Long-term care is a big thing right now, and very important. But just figuring out who they are, what their goals are, and then setting up a complimentary consult. In the office, it's really not pressure. It really isn't. I grew up in a family of business people and sales, and I've been in business a lot of years. So if you back me up and push me in a corner or make me feel like I am pressured in any way, I'm the first out that door. You will never earn my business. So we really kind of want to connect on a non-salesy event.
Yeah.
Meeting.
And that's so important, I think, for those first visits. Again, like you said, everybody's just sort of trying to get to know each other. You've got to have levels of trust. It has to exist. 612-504-8400. That's how you get hold of the folks at Haven Financial Group. Stay with us, everyone. You're listening to the Haven Financial Group radio show.
Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. We appreciate you listening. At any point, if you want to give us a call, 612-504-8400, havenfinancialgroup.com.